Ladies and gentlemen, week 7 is in the books. What a cracking week 7 it was. We've had some couple of 80 burgers, one put on by a team you wouldn't expect to put an 80 burger. We've had 3 draws, including another 0-0 draw. And most importantly, week 8, we have got probably the biggest game, arguably the biggest game of the year. I know it happens twice this year, but it's still the biggest game of the year. That's happening on Friday, but we'll get into that. And also later on in the show, we will be joined by some of the lads from the KCL regions to discuss whether or not I've inflated them a bit too much, and also their social media. Because if you didn't know, KCL, I've pretty much already said KCL they're being promoted. I've already said that, and normally that doesn't go down well because I think it's not doing. They're not going to be able to reach those lofty expectations. They don't want to look past anyone, but given who they've got. But we will discuss that later. So, Dylan, how are we? I imagine you're doing amazing, but we will get into that. But how are you doing? Give it a nice brief one. His connection's dog shit, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing great. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Dylan, for your perfect stuff. So, while Dylan fixes whatever he's doing, because I do actually want to talk to Dylan about a specific score, which we will get to. Let's go down. Let's break down the results. The UE Bullets 76-0 over the Birmingham Lions. They go to 5-0. SGS 5-0, 83 points. Does that make you sad, Dylan? Because it should. Over the UEA Pirates, Leeds Beckett 41, Durham Saints 2. Impressive that they got a safety, to be completely honest. Nottingham Gold rally back from their loss against Leeds Beckett, 40-7 against the Newcastle Raiders. Big, good stuff. In Division 1, Brunel 36-12. Oh, it's just me now. Southampton 14, Swansea 6. Swansea fall to 0-5. Not good. Leeds 20. To Glasgow Uni Tigers 6. They go 5, and they're ranked number 1. Oxford Lancers pick up their first win of the season against the Sussex Saxons 8-6. The Loughborough, I want to say Loughborough, not Loughborough Students, 35-7. I think Loughborough have won their division as well. The QMBL Vipers pick up a cracking win over Imperial. Did not see that one coming, but Imperial fall to 2-2. Portsmouth Destroyers going on a bit of a tear after losing their first game, 16-0 over the Royal Holloway Bears. They're now 4-1. And this is the big one, ladies and gentlemen, our game of the week. Bournemouth Uni Bobcats go to 4-0, 38-6 over the Bristol Barracuda. Don't think anyone guessed that right. Staffordshire Stallions 6, Coventry Jets 6. Staffordshire don't pick up their first win of the season, but a draw. And the Sheffield Hallam Warriors 41-14 to the Manchester Metropolitan Eagles. And the LJMU Fury 10-6 over the Sheffield Sabres. They told me where they got that 10 from. It was two, I think it was 2 field goals and then 2 safeties. Northumbria Mustangs beat the Edinburgh Predators. Edinburgh Predators have some good memes coming out of that, but we will get into those memes. I'll wait for people to come back, but while we're doing that, we'll get into Division 2. Solent Redhawks 22, Chichester Spitfires 7. The UCL Emperors, big win, I think, for UCL here, 13-18 over the Greenwich Mariners. The Bath Killer Bees are rampaging, 52-6 over the Worcester Royals, and the Worcester Royals fall to 0-3. The Plymouth Blitz 34. Bath Spark Bulldogs 12. It's not going fast enough for me. Now this is it. Reading Knights. I'm the only one who picked it. No, I'm not. Or was I? We had Coach Rob Smith on last week for the Reading Knights. He pitches a shout against Brighton, 20-0. This is the big one I want to talk to them about. Heriot Watt Wolverines 82. Teesside Cougars 0. Nottingham Gold Derby Braves 14-14. Another draw. The Bradford Bears 8. York St John Jaguars 6. We've got one. Oh, I thought it was coming up. ARU Siege 36. Kill Crusaders 6. Kill go to Owen 4. Lincoln Colonials pick up a big win against their rival DMUs 13-6. The Lancaster Bombers 3-1 now, 18-0 shutout over the Edge Hill Vikings. And there should be one more on there. I didn't see it come up. That is Aberystwyth. And the UE Bullets 2s went 0-0 in full time. Hopefully Dylan is back. Hopefully he's got some good stuff. How are you? How's the connection?
Yeah, I've changed over to my laptop.
Perfect.
Fine for now.
So we're just going to bring up a few choice memes. Some people, the memes are getting better. We're going to go to Edinburgh Predators first. This one was a great one. Fraser off release of Northumbria and Glasgow in 2 weeks. Hands are we mid. Unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And it's not. I don't think it's going to improve much for Edinburgh here because they have got Leeds this week. So I think that they're the question of are they mid may very well be answered for
They
them
won't be
soon.
worse than that soon
But
enough.
realistically, there's a solid meme. You love this meme. You love this meme so much, don't you? And we're going to show it because you're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to the sport. You're an embarrassment to the show.
Yeah.
It's good old
I mean,
Kirk Cousins over here.
this wasn't by my choice. The chain and the glasses aren't mine. There's been a very careful editing of the apple juice I was holding.
The grape juice you holding.
Yeah. And that's it was all good. It was good. It's too long of a bus journey home is what we really learned. I think it's 3.5 hours. We had to find a way to entertain ourselves.
So I actually want to talk to you. This is where it's good to sort of have you on the show because, I'm prepared to drop the act for a hot second in regards to cheerleading and that sort of nature because 82.
Yeah.
82 points. So, this is...
I was meant to be the kick holder this week, but we found out on arrival that they didn't have field goals, so I had another quiet day on the sidelines, but...
So Dylan's obviously close to Harriet Watt. 82 points. How? Just explain to me how.
I've had this for about 10 times today where I've been sat there and then I've had to sort of work it back out to myself. I think the start of the game, they had the ball first and they went to 1st and 20 in a game of how many pre-snap penalties are there? More than I knew of. But they went back and then I think our lad started with it was a 70-yard running touchdown to start. And they didn't particularly look like they wanted to get anywhere near our Theo. So from there, it just sort of started. It was actually, I think it was 40-0 half time. And then with the running clock, we managed to get 42, but it was
very impressive.
2 pick sixes in the second half and a safety.
And then how disappointed were you when SGS Pride scored one more point than you?
I was on the sideline. It was, I want to say 64-0 because they didn't have field goal posts. We had to go for 2 points every time. Classic.
I believe you got all your 2 points as well, from what Lindsay tells me.
It was 10 touchdowns, 10 2-pointers, and a safety. But it was I was just on the sideline. I turned to someone. It was UWE got 76 this week. And it was we could go for it. And then sure enough, we got to 82. Annoyingly, last play of the game, OC for the day, not a normal one. We only had 17 of us down there, which was all the more impressive because of exams. But OC for the day was I'll just take the kneel here. And then I went to take a kneel and I realised it would be -5 rushing yards for me, which in terms of stat padding, I wasn't happy with. So I went for a little sort of jog down the sideline. And then you text me immediately after saying, you're a point off SGS. And it was
honestly, that made my day personally. Just be able to fully ruin.
I'll send you the last play when you get there because there's sort of a confused. I go to kneel and then I think about it and my head's I've had a good day rushing. I'm nah. And I just sort of start jogging and then get into a sprint and just walk off the pitch sideways, get off. I was yeah, I beat UWE. And then you text me and it felt like a loss, but hey ho.
That's why I said you might as well count it as a loss now. And then this is where it's now interesting because I've ranked Harriet Watt 3rd now, and it's difficult to say because I don't know because Napier have only played one game against Aberdeen. They had their game against Sunderland, walkover victory for Napier. They've not actually played apart from Aberdeen. So truthfully, we don't know if Edinburgh Napier are as good as they were last year because the only thing that they've done is unfortunately lose. That's the only thing that they've done. They've not had any wins. But I think it is going to chalk up a really big matchup between you, as in Harriet Watt and Napier Knights. But realistically, it might not actually even matter due to the amount of points that Harriet Watt are putting on people.
We've done the maths, and if Sunderland, whatever's happening there, I don't know if they're planning on playing the rest of the season, but I think if we win that Sunderland game, we're already guaranteed playoffs. And then there's
but
it's
again,
a really awkward situation.
Div
Yeah,
2 playoffs. I mean,
it
at this
should be.
point, at this point, oh, it should be, but it's not. No, but I mean, like, if you're in the promotion hunt, then you're in the promotion hunt. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might as well
Yeah.
be thinking about that first. So we're
Oh yeah.
third
So
because
promotion.
no, actually, Lindsay, I'll break it down for people if you want. My rankings is based on who I think the best team is, and who would beat everyone else. So KCL have shown me no reason why they wouldn't beat everyone below them. Um, who's second? Liverpool. Yeah, I think if you want it, Lindsay, I think KCL would probably beat Heriot Watt, and I think Liverpool would probably beat Heriot Watt as well. Yeah,
Hopefully, we find
that's
out.
that. That's that. Yeah, you very well. Apart from Kate, you won't find out against KCL, but you'll probably good chance you'll find out against Liverpool. So if we talk about what our game of the week was, Bristol Barracuda versus the Bournemouth Uni Bobcats. Obviously, like you guys, both you and Connor, I don't know where Connor is. Um, you both picked Bristol, and I decided that I have slandered the Bobcats too much by not picking them, and the Bobcats didn't only win, the Bobcats won very comfortably, and that's why in my Division One power rankings they're now second. I really didn't think this would happen for the Bobcats so early, but it has. And I was greeted by a message from Coach Rains saying that I that my media credentials are now not revoked; they're reinstated because I picked Bournemouth over Bristol. But I'm
I'm
very
still yet to get
surprised.
mine.
No, you don't know because you keep picking
Wrong.
awful. Like imagine picking Brighton Panthers to beat Reading Knights when you've got the head coach Reading Knights in
I
the
was
video
so.
call.
What's worse, I really sold the dream on both that game and the Bournemouth Bristol one, and then I won't lie, I
You did.
saw they saw it was the Bournemouth. They did that promo video with like the fishing thing, and I remember seeing
Yeah.
that, and my head was a bit like, "You're not doing that if you think you might lose." And then,
Yeah,
sure
but
enough,
you say that, but um, next week, hopefully, we're going to do some of our mid-season awards. They're not; these are who we think is going to win awards at the end. So you don't get an actual award for your mid-season awards, but you do get, basically seeding within the actual awards. So the actual awards are basically team of the year, but we are expanding team of the year. So team of the year is overall who we think is the best team. Division 1, Division 2, Prem Team of the Year, Social Media of the Year, Funniest Social Media of the Year, Comeback of the Year, and then we've also got a Player's Choice Award, which means you, the people, get to vote on it. And obviously, I know that will have some issues in the sense of people will just get their whole team to vote on it, but that's part of it. If you can get that camaraderie together and push, and you can win it, then you win it.
oh, we're doing
I'm
the
sure we can
punditry
stop.
award surely as well.
Oh yes, we're doing a punditry award as well, which is who's the best pundit out of me, Dylan, and Connor. And
Yeah,
if you don't vote for me, then I close the show down. I close the show down. There's no
I'll
more.
open
There's
it
no
back
more
up.
show. No, you're not allowed. You're
Bristol
not
only
allowed.
big
It's
time. Ah,
Bristol. Well, no, but sorry. But back to what I was saying. So in the social media, like we're gonna have some of the guys from KCL on. I think their social media has been fantastic this year. Just it's been well done. It's very very consistent. And that's something that I want to touch with them on. But I posted it on the Sport Tank story that Brighton Panthers game poster for their match with Reading was probably the best pre-match poster I've ever seen. It's amazing. Whoever did that,
yeah.
money. Like Hertfordshire have got some good ones as well, but Brighton's disgusting. Brighton is
That is
disgusting.
good to see. I think it's good for the sport. It's good to see, and everyone sort of gets pumped up for it. You've got to. It's also they're managing to do somewhat not get the cringing, which I'm all for. There's been a
Yeah,
few
which is
unnamed
which is
teams in the borders where I genuinely nearly cried watching one. But
oh, like there's like I said some that like I think LJMU are doing great stuff on TikTok. Their stuff's very well shot, but I put it to Connor and he's like, "Oh, that's cringe." And I'm like, "I don't know. It's people dancing on TikTok. It's not cringe. It's just how social media is now.
yeah, I was
That's
gonna
just how
say you
it
can't.
works.
Yeah,
You can't be
nice.
hating. You can't be hating on people dancing on TikTok. It's if honestly, if that gets one extra um person to join, then congratulations.
Oh, definitely.
You've done your job. You have done your job. So, I mean, I've got nothing else to talk about apart from like Bournemouth and Bristol and Heriot Watt and Teesside. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this week, let me tell you. Friday, it is finally the Battle of Bristol. Finally, it's SGS Pride versus the UE Bullets, and I'm going to be there. I know that I know a lot of people will be there. It's a shame that you guys can't come. If you can come, I don't think you'll be able to. But luckily, Bristol's only 45 minutes from me, so I'm allowed. I'm going to go. Very much looking forward to that. We're going to get into that. In fact, I'm going to ask some of the KCL regents what they think about it as well, because I think it's a large event. It's going to be live streamed. I think it's live streamed by Bucks because Bucks know that they know how big this is. But that's the bit. That's like if you're worried about what game of the week is this week, it's Billets versus SGS. Don't even. Like I had maybe UClan versus Liverpool, but it's Bullets Pride. All right, and we're going to talk about Bullets Pride later. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, bringing on our guests for this week, some of the 4-0 KCL Regents, the team that I think has already locked up their division, and it's not even Christmas yet, and Dylan's gone, which means what a shambolic stream. But I'll bring them on anyway. Hello, gentlemen. If you can introduce yourselves.
Evening. Hi.
How are we all?
Good. I'm Firas. This is Dan and Alessandro. If you guys want to say anything.
You're gonna elaborate? Okay. Hi. I'm Alessandro Bogo. I'm a second-year linebacker here at the Regents. They're both much more experienced than here. I don't know why I was invited onto this stream, but I guess I'm here to enjoy the ride.
Don't say that.
But yeah,
he's young and full of heart, Bogo. So that's what matters.
There you go. That's what matters. That's why you've been called up.
Yeah, we need someone to bring the energy. Me and Dan have been here for 6 years now. This is our 6th year.
Oh, you like me? You just like I hate football so much. I can't be.
We're
like you get. So. Oh, that's it. What do you mean? You get to those training sessions and it's like -1 degrees outside. You're like, I don't know about this.
The weather's getting a bit rougher now, unfortunately.
That's it.
Always good to still see the guys down.
So, like, as far as I'm concerned, I've said this on the stream already. I've already sort of locked you guys up for promotion. You're the first team that I've said, yeah, it's KCL are going to Division 1. They're going to join a very tough division in Kent and Brunel and Imperial. Maybe not QMBL, but I'm not entirely sure yet. So basically, like, how do you feel that your season has gone? Like, is this exactly what you expected?
I think the not conceding any points was a nice surprise. I think we've always been a team where we've relied on our defense a lot, and we have some amazing coaches this year, and we've made it even better. But in terms of the wins, like I want to say we did expect it, but that was because we put the work in. It wasn't because we thought we'd just win easily. It was because we started training really early, and our coaches drilled it into us that it's like one game at a time, and we have to win every game.
Yeah, and football's a game that, it's not given to you. You have to go out and take it. And the coaches have been playing hard. Players have been working. Everyone's doing the work in and off the field. And they're ready to, we want to be there in Div 1. And it's not a guarantee. But I like the way that we're playing, and I like the way that the team is building around it. And I think we have a real good shot this year.
So one of the biggest games that I think you guys have had so far was your game with Greenwich. When it came out that the scoreline for that is you didn't concede any points. Obviously, Greenwich last year, they were the finalists in the South, lost against Bournemouth, but they went on that incredible sort of run towards the end of the season, and I saw that as your biggest competition. Were you surprised by Greenwich's ability to have a run to the championship game last year in Division 2, and then also the actual game itself? Because, as I went through at the start of the show, Greenwich have now lost to UCL as well, which I think is a very big win for UCL. But were you surprised that Greenwich may not be the team that they were last year?
I think we have to look at their coaching staff. It's a very strong coaching team. They drill each other well, and they play hard. And I think that's the thing that a lot of teams often fail to do, is that they don't have a reason to play. Greenwich always goes out and they play hard. And I think when you look at their team from last year and this year, there's some differences, but there's still a lot of talent on that roster. So,
yeah, I don't think it'd be fair to say that it's not the same team that it was last year. I mean, there was a couple times we were saved by an act of God during that game when we played against them. They had a touchdown called off due to a flag holding down the field, and we barely managed to get through to get our points on the board that game. So it was a very, very close game, and I guess we just got the edge in the end. But I don't know what happened. I wasn't there at the game against UCL. But they're still a great team, and it's not fair to discount them for the 2 losses. I don't think it fully shows how good of a team they actually are.
And I mean,
so
Dan
you said sorry, go on.
So Dan and I have played with quite a few of the players at the Exiles, so we know just how good they are. We know the individuals, and it's uni ball, so things just change so quickly. People graduate, so one year a team can go completely undefeated, and the next obviously just go 0-6 or whatever. So I wouldn't say it's surprising, but we know they're always a really difficult matchup because of the personnel they have and the coaching.
There's sort of another one I've got for you is your season has been very front half heavy. In fact, it's very front half heavy. Do you think that that's benefited you in being able to have that sort of momentum carry over week to week? Because after Christmas, you've got one game. Do you think that has helped you, or has there been issues with injuries that haven't sort of resolved themselves due to the constant playing?
I think it's quite a lot. It is really good, the fact that we can get it all out of the way before Christmas, really, and secure whatever if we win. But the fact that we had, I think it was 3 games in 4 weeks, that was really, really taxing. And we did start to have some guys really start to cramp up, have injuries, especially guys playing both ways and stuff. So I think as we played a team in their second game, it was our 4th game. I think that gets pretty intense, playing twice as many games. But at the same time, I think against Greenwich, what helped us is having one game meant that we got a lot of rust out. And I think for them, maybe they were rusty because the next game, I think they put up 40 points. So they went from 0 to 40, and I think playing one game really made a difference there.
I think it's good in hindsight because going into it, it was really daunting, playing all these games straight. But the fact that we've done so well, now that we can look back at it and be now that we've done the hard part, we have loads of time to rest and to get better. We still have 2 games ahead of us. And inshallah, if we play like we did before, those next games coming up in the playoffs and everything, we'll have time to recover and to train for it. And so that'll be good, I think.
So someone mentioned a sort of act of God happening within your games. City versus you, so KCL versus City. Do you feel like that was how do you sort of keep a level head when you're 0-0 going into the 4th quarter?
I think it starts in the coaches and the players. I think we've emphasized throughout the entire season and even in previous seasons for some of the guys who've been around a little longer that, the game is always 0-0. You're always playing for a win, no matter the score. You're always just looking to go out and ball out in whatever play you're doing. I think the coaches are always on the sideline, propping us up and helping us out. But I see a lot of guys who are stepping up and making sure that those guys that are a little bit more angsty, when they see that score line, that they realize all you got to do out is just do your job. I think it's the overarching philosophy right now that our coaches emphasizes: just do your job and do it right.
Yeah. I think in that game as well, we felt like we hadn't made any big mistakes. It was just you just have to keep executing, and eventually something's going to work. Where our offense, it didn't really get it going, but it wasn't like there was any one unit having a really bad game or anything. And we just thought that if we just kept on doing the same, eventually we'd score. And the coaches really kept us calm. Yeah, it's fine. We'll make a few adjustments. But I mean, we didn't really make many changes. It was just getting into the rhythm of it. And by the end of it, we were confident that we'd score, basically.
So another thing that sort of KCL's managed to do is not concede a single point this season. Is there talk of that being something that you would like to? Obviously, you do want to keep it going, but is there conceded effort to make sure that your conceded points stay at 0, or is it just something that you don't think about from game to game?
Our defensive coordinator he gives us defensive objectives every game, and one of them is 0 touchdowns. So
I think there's a reward there as well, isn't there?
Yeah. It's if you get a donut, we get donuts. That's the rule.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Krispy Kremes too. Shout out Coach Nana. I know the receivers get the
actually?
Sainsbury's bootleg ones. We get Krispy Kremes. So
Do it to be this coach who's giving you grief for not wearing KCL merch on the streams.
yeah, there it is. I gotta guess them. It's too expensive. I'm gonna be real. So
it's a
That
violation.
is true.
That Braz is wearing that Buckeye shirt right now, but that's
Right,
not.
to be fair.
Look at the playoffs.
Yeah.
See, like, that's an interesting one. I wish that more teams would institute that, specifically Gloucestershire, because we've had a couple of donuts, and yet no donuts. So sort of going on to again, I feel like it might be a bit harsh to sort of look forward to Division 1, especially sort of where I'm sitting, where I've already, I've already ticked that box. There we go.
yeah, right. Let's get it. Let's get the kit on. Sorry, go on.
So realistically, if you go up, the division you'd be looking at would probably contain Brunel, Imperial, and obviously Kent, who you guys know fairly well from last year. Do you think that there's the possibility for a Bournemouth-like season next year, in that immediately being able to go up into Division 1 and just doing an absolute madness when you've got powerhouses like Brunel in there?
I think Faraz and I are not going to be there next year, so it'll be some guys to stick around, but at least we don't tend to be here next year. But the team that's here now, it's special. I think that's the truth about it. There's, they play really hard and they love the sport and they love each other at the end of the day. Like we got people planning living together next year. And, if the recruitment goes well and the work is put in, because, we're building foundation year on year, I don't see any reason why they can't be contending for a playoff spot next year at the very least. I think, promotion first year in would be amazing, but I think, it all depends on how that input looks in. And I think the coaching staff is there and the players are there. Just a strong recruitment, I think it can get them there.
I think being in Div 1 really helps with recruitment as well, from people looking at the team, and also just as a marketing standpoint, being able to put it on our social media and stuff. But again, I think one thing our coaches have always had the one game at a time mindset. I think if you ask them, they haven't even thought about that. All they care about is the next game, every time. So
yeah, I'm not one to talk because I've only been here. This is my second year, but I know the feeling I get is that this sport is growing really quickly at Kings. We have so many more people coming in, so much more talent coming in. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, but in my second year here and now we're doing so well. I don't know how many years our club's been going on. I think it's it's 14, 15 now, maybe something like that. And this is the first year we're ever in actual contention to get promoted. And it's only my second year here. So I reckon it's just the sport is growing and now we get more and more talent coming in. So that's great.
So to sort of take it off of the field now, I've said this to whoever's got the KCL Instagram, that it's one of the best Instagrams in Uniball, just based on consistency and how nice all the graphics look. And it's you're not scared to sort of make fun of yourselves, especially when it's the sort of team election things or it's stuff like that. How do you feel that social media, or having a good social media, aids in both recruitment and also retention of players?
I think Dan can tell you. I mean, we've been here this is our 6th year. Pretty much the recruitment every year is dictated by the year before. How good was the social media? How good was the exposure? And yeah, so the Instagram's only part of it, but just in general, at the uni, how exposed are we? How visible are we being pushed by the SU? And I think Kamdar, he's who does our social media this year, and he's just been amazing. Having someone dedicated to it, and he really takes the time to make the graphics, and he spent a lot of time, I think, making templates so that he could use them throughout the season. And I think if you do the work at the start, it means that even once he gets like drowned in coursework and stuff, he's been doing it really consistently. He never misses an upload, and he has like a schedule, which I don't think we've ever had before. I think that really keeps us like consistent.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't quite realize the amount of work that goes behind the scenes into this kind of thing. And, you know, those are professional graphics, and I've seen some pretty shit NFL ones out there, and I feel like Cam will be competing for one or two of those. You know, I feel like he's building his portfolio. You know, we'll be seeing him on the news soon enough. But he and the committee, they put the work in, and I think that's kind of going to help for next year as well.
Because one thing that I definitely noticed about the KCL social media is teams don't push their logo very much, but KCL's you've got that sort of, you've got your signature opening to them, and I think that's what takes it above sort of being professional. Like there are other teams out there who have got, you know, their poster work is fantastic, or they'll put up good videos like the ones that people are doing now, which is like questions with the quarterback. You know, the stuff the Minnesota Vikings used to do, like, you know, who would you least like to date your sister? Like funny ones like that. But KCL seems, yeah, that's the one. So good, such a good video. I bet you there's a couple of uni teams they've got someone like that on their squad. But things like that where because I'm a big proponent of, if people want the sport to be taken professionally, they need to treat it professionally, which is why I do the work I do. But I feel like KCL is a good example of taking it very professionally. So I'm sure there's a lot of KCL Regents watching, which I'm sure you should be following your own Instagram. If you're not, tut. But if people aren't, honestly, it's just worth a look to see what is possible if you just put some time in. Because there's a lot of uni ball teams where their graphic design is not it's not their strong suit. It's not their strong suit. So, looking into the future, obviously you've got Kingston this week. I imagine it's just game at a time, no real struggles, just easing on in to a Christmas break, and then a nice long rest up period for Chichester.
For Canterbury, yeah.
Canterbury, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last game of the year. That's for sure. But I don't think there's going to be any talk about foot off the gas. It's still a game that you have to win, just like every other game we've played before, and every game that's going to come after. And I think it's the thing that kills teams constantly is complacency. You know, we have to earn this win like we've earned the others, and that goes down to the players learning their playbooks, working out, taking care of their bodies, and then when it's on the field, just delivering. And I think the coaches would agree that we're not here just to stop now. It's keep pushing. You know, this Christmas it's a break, but it's time to recover, get stronger, and be ready for a playoff push in the new year.
I mean, Kingston have just won their last game, so they're definitely not going to be short for confidence. So every game is its own championship game, and we want to win every quarter, every half, every game. And like you said, like the 0 points thing, it's a pride thing. But I mean, I think I can speak for the linebackers at least. It's always like, do they have any points? Are they scoring any rushing yards? Like if a team is beating us rushing, even if they don't score any points, it really annoys us. So it's like that kind of thing where even within each play, we're like, but we refuse to let them run inside. We refuse to let them run, that kind of thing.
Faraz always has a really good point, and it's any given Sunday. You know, anything can happen on that field, so you got to plan for the rest.
So one thing that we don't really talk too much about. Oh, hold on, we got someone coming in with the social media battles. I've said LJ Abuse is good. All right, this is how it works. I'm telling you that people don't care. People won't care about Sport Tank's Div 1 Team of the Year. They'll care about They care about the social media award, which, you know, you've got to wait. You've got to wait until March. One thing we don't really talk about on here, just because we're so focused on promotions this early on, Division 2 playoffs. Obviously, they don't have the same weight as the Premiership or Division 1 in terms of having any sort of stakes apart from a championship. Do you think promotion is enough at this point? I believe KCL have been ranked number 1 in Division 2 for me for the last 2 weeks. Is this a championship season, or is promotion good enough?
We want to win everything. I mean, it's a great thing
you
to
want it
have.
all.
Yeah, and like you said, like, so promotion is like for other divisions, that's like the result of the playoffs. For us, it's just the leagues. But I mean, I'm never going to go into a game and be like, yeah, cool, we can just stop now. And I know our coaches would absolutely kill us if they felt like that's what the attitude was. So
I think one of the golden linings, at least, of the playoffs is that you get BAFRA refs most of the time. That's having refs is a key part. That
Do you guys not even get refs? I'd be surprised by that. I imagine there'd be quite a lot of refs down in London.
depends on the game.
Yeah.
So in our first game we didn't, and especially if there's other games going on, like Prem games or anything, then yeah, you really rarely get refs. And it always really messes with the game dynamic, because whoever's supplying the refs, that you always have to be like more towards the other team so you don't get accused of anything.
Yeah.
So it's a very awkward dynamic.
I do wonder if there's like some underground betting going on for DivTube games out there.
Oh
I
man,
doubt it.
honestly, I honestly, Dan, if there was, I'd be a millionaire. I wish if there's an underground betting ring for Uniball in this country, someone cut me in. Someone cut me in. One day when this gets big enough, I'll be doing this show from a golden palace with green screen and lions behind me. So, obviously, within the playoffs, what I think is going to be interesting is to see how you guys match up with, teams that are very much on the borders of getting promotion, teams that I'm not willing to, sort of lock up, much in the same way that I have for KCL. But Reading Knights is the one that's very much on the horizon, and realistically, I think that could be the final game could very well be KCL versus Reading. Or to be honest, I know it's very early in the season. I shouldn't say this because I'm playing in this division. Bath Killer Bees as well. I think that they're going to be very, very difficult sort of defeat. What are your thoughts in like facing these teams that like very much will have a similar record to yourselves?
And the only real comparisons we have is when they reshuffle the leagues, like looking at how we played against certain teams versus how they play against them. So like looking at, we played Brighton last year, so looking at how teams match up against them or that kind of thing. But when you have no comparison between like leagues, it's really hard to like say. They have some really impressive results, but you never know, like, are they the best team in the division, or are they just in the weak league or whatever? And the same for us. Like there's very little ways of comparing leagues to each other. It would be amazing if there was, say, like 1 or 2 games a year where you played someone out of league, similar to like how NFL has like divisional games and games from the other side, and that way you could actually have some comparison and some competition to begin with. But without that, we have no idea of comparing ourselves to anyone else.
Yeah, and I think as much as it'd be nice to know how the other teams are playing, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and the kind of games that they play out there. Ultimately, we only care how we play. At the end of the day, like, I couldn't care who we're playing, as if we're not playing right, it doesn't matter. The team has to be clicking, no matter who we play.
So then, the last question that I've got. This hasn't got anything to do with Division 2. It doesn't. I've said this, but this Friday is most likely going to be the largest game of the Uniball season. It's the first meeting of the SGS Pride versus the UE Bullets, and I'm going to try and get as many people's guesses on who they think is going to come away with it. And I see no better place to start than right now with you gentlemen. UE versus SGS. What are your thoughts?
Faraz has his answer for
I think
the comment.
I'm gonna go with UWE just based on like comparing results. So I mean, they've looking at the Lions game, for example, like that was crazy numbers. And I know I think SGS put 83 on the Pirates, and then they put 86.
They did,
on them. Yeah. And I mean, so SGS haven't conceded a point, but I think have UW conceded 6 points?
Yes, they conceded. They conceded. I think it was a pick six against Birmingham.
The Lions. Yeah. So I mean, it's. I feel like the defenses of both. I don't think you can like compare them. I mean, 0.6 points on a pick six. It wasn't even the defense's fault. So then, if I look at the offense, I don't think they've scored less than 50 in any game, and most games are like 76 or like 89 or 80 or whatever. And I think
It's not.
SGS have only scored above 50 in one game, right? Like the last game. Everything else was in the 40s, I think.
Yes, but I think the thing that I think people have got to consider is obviously both those squads. Once it gets past a certain point, they're bringing in their second and third strings. But then will that have an impact that the first strings have not played as much? But now they're about to be thrown in deep into what is probably going to be the largest game of the season. Obviously, they play twice, but it's the first meeting, so the first one's always more shiny. So,
where is it? Who's home field?
It's at UWE, but they're both based in Bristol, so it's not massive.
Okay. I think UW is going to win.
See, and then that's all I need. But honestly, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to have you on, and it's been a pleasure to sort of be able to watch your season progress. And I wish you all the best for the season. Again, you're more than welcome to shout at me if you think that it's silly that I've locked you up already. But that's genuinely that's my prognosis, is that the KCL Regents are the best Div 2 team in the country, and they've not proven me otherwise at all this season. No, nothing at all. So
thank you. That's kind of you. I think we got a chip on our shoulder now to play for. We can't let you down. So yeah,
that's it, and that's what we do it for. But generally, guys, if you want to plug anything, do it now, because I'm going to get into the picks for week 8, and it's a long and boring process. Even though it seems like it will just be me doing it, it's a long and boring process, and I wouldn't want to bore you with it. But I can tell you I'll tell you the prediction for KCL Kingston is KCL, so you can have that one for free. All right.
I just want to plug the @KCL Regents Instagram account. Just see some of Cambo's hard work. You won't regret it. It's amazing.
Shout out to Cambo. He's in the other room. So if he comes in on time, maybe he can run into my room and say hi on stream. He's watching the stream right now.
Well, come in. No, genuinely come in, because
let me get him. Where is this guy?
No, genuinely do, because if you do, I genuinely got some more questions for him, because I've got one question. Like, it's just really good social media.
No,
there he is. Yeah. There he is. This is the beautiful man himself.
Hello guys, how you doing?
How I hear you're the mastermind behind KCL's great social media.
Honestly, Julian actually quite helped me. He was the social media sec last year, and he set a very good standard for me to follow. And honestly, we're doing very well.
That's it. No, I just want to say, like, the work you do is fantastic. It's
loves you, man.
I got
access to the King's account. I constantly see the DMs you're sending us.
No, but genuinely, genuinely, it is like, I'm just like, oh, it's so good. Oh, like I feel bad for some of these uni teams where, like, I'm literally like, they'll send me something, and I'm like, that's filth. Oh, let me post that. That's absolute filth.
Did you see the Bobcat stuff this week with all the Barracuda memes?
The Bobcats were good. Bobcats actually won social media of the year last year.
Yeah,
and they're very much they want it. They've told me multiple times that they're coming back. They're coming back for it, and they are in the running. But if you want a good laugh, genuinely go on Brighton Panthers. Their ones is fantastic. Brighton Panthers ones, their post win ones are fantastic. They're so funny. Like, we had, to be fair, I'll bring it up now. This is the one we had from Edinburgh after they lost to Northumbria and Glasgow in 2 weeks. 2 weeks on the trot.
Yeah,
I know.
Okay, we keep it professional though.
Honestly, no, I know that you're not going to post anything like that, but it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. But yeah, just generally, just I don't know. There's nothing to say. KCL, just a really good team. That's it. That's what you should take away from this, people watching. Just KCL's just a really good team. There you go. There you go. But and it's so strange, as as I motion for you guys to depart and I get with my pick, I am joined by Dylan. I don't think he's got any questions. He doesn't deserve any questions. Have you got any questions, Dylan?
No, I've really enjoyed the last 20 minutes, boys. It's been lovely.
Radical, get off my
Thanks for
stream.
having us.
Don't, you
Please
can't
out.
be doing that to me. You can't be doing that. You can't be coming in at the end. But thank you very much, gentlemen. Good luck. Stay healthy. But
Hopefully
yeah,
we'll make you proud.
that's it. Right, I'll get on with the week 8 picks, ladies and gentlemen, and I will bring Dylan back into it. It's not just me talking to all of you. Where is he? There he is.
Ah, man. Sorry about that.
Dylan, where were you?
I live in a lovely, like, old Victorian part of Edinburgh, but unfortunately, that's also when the Wi-Fi cables were made. So
Perfect. Well, honestly, it was you missed out on a great interview. All those guys are great. The answers they gave were fantastic. I've got nothing to say, but again, KCL genuinely just a really good team. So moving on to week 8, let's run it down for you on the rundown. So the big one. UE versus SGS, Newcastle versus Stirling, Durham versus Nottingham Gold in Division 1, Edinburgh versus Leeds, Sussex versus Royal Holloway, QMBL versus Essex, Brunel versus Imperial, Oxford versus Hertfordshire, Coventry versus NTU, Bristol versus Exeter, Staffordshire versus Loughborough, Manchester versus Sheffield Hallam, MMU versus Sheffield, Hull versus Northumbrian in Division 2, the Edinburgh Napier Knights versus the UWS Pyros, the Cambridge Pythons versus the Kiel Crusaders, Aberystwyth versus Bath, Solent versus Winchester, Teesside versus Sunderland, but with a question mark next to it because it's a Sunderland game. We don't even know if it's taking place. This is going to be a big game in the Midlands too. Leicester versus Lincoln, Gloucestershire make their return against Plymouth, UCL versus City, Chichester versus Brighton, UCLan versus Liverpool, and KCL versus Kingston. Let's get into the big one, Dylan. Let's get into the big one. We'll get to everything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. You know, it's the biggest game of the year, I think, but that's because I do Uniball. It is the UE Bullets. No, let me do it first. Let me introduce it, Dylan. It is the UE Bullets versus the SGS Pride happening on Friday. It will be live streamed, so watch it if you're not at training. But if you are, watch it at training as well. Who do you think is coming away? And also, give me a score prediction as well, Dylan. This is our game of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already seen, we've adjusted our game of the week slightly. We no longer have 3. We just have the 1. And in our game of the week, we ask you, the people, the viewers, to submit a score prediction. And if you do, you can win some lovely Sport Tank merch like the hat I've got on my head right now. But it has to be an absolutely correct, not the closest, an absolute one. From what I can gather, nobody has won it for Bristol versus Bournemouth, 38-6. I didn't see that coming. But that post will go up, I believe, tomorrow. Comment on it, what you think the final score will be. But Dylan, give the people some hope. Give them something they can latch onto. What do you think the final score will be? UE versus SGS.
UWE win it.
By?
I'm going to say... I'm going to go 35-21.
That's a respectable score. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to go very similar to you. I'm going to go SGS 21. UE Bullets 50. I think the Bullets are going to push for that 50.
Oh, you know what? I went
really gonna
strong
push for it
last week, and I'm just refuse to do it ever again. I think, yeah.
I think that it's going to be. This is a statement game for both teams, and you're telling me the Bullets would love to just go, no, have someone else SGS. You're done. It was never you. It was never you. It was always us. Never you, always us. You know.
SGS tried this week to put a real sort of statement down. I don't know. Obviously, they've only got 4 days of break between the 2 games.
Yeah.
There's a high chance they've been looking at the UWE game for a while.
And this is sort of where UE play on Saturdays mainly, or Fridays. They play on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, obviously, that gives them an extra day of rest because I offered our main man Frankie of the Bullets to come on the show today. He said no. Why not, Chris? Well, they're training because of course they are. They're the Bullets, right?
Yeah.
So It's a big one. I've got the Bullets putting on a clinic. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go and watch the game. Thankfully, I live 45 minutes from where it's taking place, so I can go there, shut up, come home, have a good night's sleep. But that's mine.
150 though that's so you just claiming they're going to walk the national championships as well while they're at it, or
The Bullets.
yeah,
The Bullets have not shown me otherwise.
fair, yeah.
They've not shown me otherwise. They've not shown me. They're not showing me that they're anything less than the team they were last year.
They scored 62 against Cardiff. Most or
When was that the second game? Yeah, but do you want to know why that was? The quarters were lessened, and they only played 3 quarters.
That'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. So know yourself. But we're going to get into the other one. So I'm going to just throw them at you, unless you've got something else to say.
I've got a list ready this week. I've been prepared while I was
have you? Oh, perfect.
incapacitated.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we've already got the first round of the rate. Newcastle versus Sterling. What are you saying? Because I'm saying Newcastle. Newcastle. Durham versus Nottingham Gold. I've got the gold.
Nottingham.
Edinburgh versus Leeds. Leeds all the way.
Yeah.
Number 1 ranked Leeds. Sussex versus Royal Holloway. Royal Holloway for me.
Royal Holloway.
QMBL versus Essex. This is a big one, and I'm going to go with the Essex Blades.
I've also gone Essex, but I was tight on it. Very tight.
It's very tight. Brunel, though, this was one of the biggest games of the season, but both of the teams have had quite shaky schedules so far. Brunel versus Imperial. Imperial lost to QMBL this week, and as far as I'm concerned, that says to me that it's Brunel all the way for that one.
Yeah.
Oxford versus Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire put 40 on Oxford last time. Can't see that changing. I'm going for Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coventry versus NTU. NTU.
I've also gone NTU.
Now, this is right. Here's a big one as well. Bristol coming off their loss to Bournemouth. They're no longer undefeated. They've got the Exeter Demons. I'm going to go with Exeter again. I'd picked Exeter last time when they lost, but I'm going for Exeter.
I've also gone Exeter. We're having another one of these weeks. This happened 2 weeks ago, and it really backfired on us.
All right, Staffordshire versus Loughborough. Loughborough all of the way.
Loughborough.
Hallam versus Manchester Tyrants. Hallam all the way.
Oh, I've gone Manchester, I believe.
That's not a bad shout. I'm not going to shout you about that. MMU versus the Sheffield Sabres. Sorry, Connor. Sheffield Sabres. Though I wouldn't be surprised if MMU pulls it off. I'm not going to be too disheartened with myself.
I have actually gone for MMU for the first time. First time in a while.
That's mad. Hull versus Northumbria. Northumbria obviously beat Edinburgh. Hull aren't having a particularly fantastic season. Hull's defense is good. I can't go with the fact that Northumbria has just beaten Edinburgh, but actually Edinburgh 1 and 2. Yeah. Northumbria.
I've gone Northumbria. I think, yeah.
Now, moving on to Division 2. I'm just going to sneeze. So. Okay, this is the big one. A big one for you specifically, Dylan. Edinburgh, Napier Knights versus the UWS Pyros. It's Napier. It's for Napier for me.
Yeah, it's Napier.
If the game takes place, I'm sure it will do. I'm not worried about it. Cambridge versus Kiel. I've got Cambridge.
I have Kiel. I'm
Interesting.
Away. Yeah.
Now, Aberystwyth versus Bath. This isn't Bath Spa. This is Bath Killer Bees. Bath Killer Bees. I'm sorry, Aberystwyth. Again, let's talk about it quickly. 0-0 draw with the Bullets. Did not see that coming.
No.
Did not see that coming. Aberystwyth have obviously they've put something together that maybe wasn't there when I played them 6 weeks ago now, but they've obviously put something together. Obviously managed to hold on to a 0-0 draw is impressive in itself. But
that's worrying for the offense, though. That's 0 points.
Yeah,
in 2 games. Completely.
Yeah, well, you don't know anything about that, do you? Now this is one we might not even bother with. I'm probably not even going to make a big game defense on both sides. That's it. Bullets got a big defense. Aberystwyth got a good defense. I'm just out here being centre, trying to snap the ball. Oof. I'm not the centre, Plymouth. Don't think that I am. Please don't think that I am. Oh,
What was it you said the other week? Saquon Barkley. Saquon.
what? Suck on Barkley? What the fuck you just say?
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Nah. It was Saquon Barkley you compared yourself to, if I remember.
Yeah, but he's not a centre.
You're not a centre.
True. I'm not a
You
centre.
just said.
Good save. Good save there, Dylan. If this game takes place, Teesside versus Sunderland, is it even fucking... No, let's not bother.
Thing is, I genuinely don't know who I think could win it.
No, because Sunderland haven't played, and Teesside, the only thing Teesside have done is lose against you 82-0. So I don't think...
Sunderland were all right last year, though, out of the blue.
Well, it's Teesside then. I mean, I don't think the game will take place, but Teesside. This is a big one for me. Leicester versus Lincoln. Leicester are putting on some dominant performances. Lincoln beat DMU 13-6 last week. Again, I know the Lincoln Colonials don't fucking watch this show for whatever reason, but Leicester, have some of that.
I've gone Leicester, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is one that I'm not going to comment on. Oh, we've got a bot in the chat. Nice. This one I'm not going to comment on. Gloucestershire Gladiators, the undefeated Gloucestershire Gladiators versus the Plymouth Blitz.
I think it's got to be Gloucestershire. They've not played in a while.
Well,
What's it? 6 weeks, some have said.
Yes,
But
yes. Sue said that.
Couldn't tell you. But I think Gloucestershire should, based on previous form. I think their real tests are going to come January onwards from Sheffield.
No, I personally don't think so for Gloucestershire. I think this is the test.
You reckon this one?
think Plymouth... Yes, I think Plymouth Blitz is the test. Plymouth aren't a bad squad. You know, they were one score behind on the UE Bullets game that they had. I don't think Plymouth is a bad squad by any means. I think this will be the test. Obviously, coming off 6 weeks of not training, it's difficult. But for me, this is the big test. I think come next year, it's going to be interesting to see what the Bullets bring. Bath Killer Bees. Bath Killer Bees. That's
Killer
the
Bees
end of that particular. Yeah, Bath Killer Bees. I know someone at Bath Killer Bees as well, so that's nice. He's a lovely lad. His name's Dan. UCL versus City. UCL picking up a big win against Greenwich this week, but City were having a great run until they ran into the KCL Regents. So I'm backing City here.
I've gone City.
City, well, we're on a crack one. Chichester versus the Brighton Panthers. Brighton Panthers, I know they lost 20-0 to the Reading Knights, but the Reading Knights are apparently just good now. So Brighton Panthers for me over Chichester.
Yeah, I've gone Brighton.
And we're going to get, so this is going to, the last one I'm going to do was going to be the game of the week if SGS versus UE wasn't playing. So I'm going to give you KCL versus Kingston. I've already told the boys from KCL that my pick is KCL.
Yeah, comfortably.
Yep.
KCL.
Then this is the I'd say this is the second biggest game of the week, personally, for me. It is UClan 3-0 UClan Rams versus the 3-0 Liverpool Raptors. This very well could decide who's going up. Big game. I'm backing Liverpool all the way.
I also, yeah, I think Liverpool, but I also think on history, this is the one where if they're going to slip up anywhere, it'd be this. But I don't think they will. Right?
Yeah.
You've got to feel somewhat confident in this year.
Exactly. Again, I'm not willing to lock Liverpool up like I have done KCL, but I think they're going to win it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic episode of The Rundown, I personally think. Thank you to the KCL Regents for coming on. Thank you for everyone who has watched, listened. If it's here or on Spotify, apologies for my cold, but I'm quite ill. Apologies for Dylan's connection, but he lives in the 1980s. But with that, ladies and gentlemen...
1890s.
1890s. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you are playing this week, stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck to all of you. And we will see you here next week for a very good special. Going to give out some awards, mid-season awards, so they don't really count. That's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you here next week. Thank you very, very much for watching, and thank you very much for the KCL Regents for joining us. Who have the Braves got? Christian, who have the Braves got this week? I haven't got them on my card.
DMU.
Who have they got?
Said they were going to win.
Have I not written that one down? Oh,
Mustn't have. But they are playing DMU, I think.
oh, Braves.
Yeah. Nah, that's
Yeah, Braves. But yes, yeah. Well, we'll see you here next week. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, stay safe, stay healthy. Good times had by all. Merry Christmas. Should we say that?